Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about the X of Swords crossover, and we're going to cover X of Swords Stasis and X-Men issue 14. Both issues written by Jonathan Hickman, and on the first one, on Stasis, we have a little bit of help from Teenie Howard. Now, as I mentioned previously on other videos, this crossover has some fantastic moments and some other moments that are just very sloppy. It has poor pacing. At some moments, I feel like the writers are not familiar with the canon of certain characters. X of Swords as a story, it's all over the place. But there is one really cool thing that I love that this crossover does, even though it's sort of a hot mess. On one side, it builds up Apocalypse as a character and makes him more interesting. And on the other, we get to meet this lost tribe of mutants, the Rockin' Mutants, and some of these characters are really cool. I find them to be very interesting. And the main focus of the issue Stasis is the introduction of all these mutants that have been lost in this hell dimension. The mutants of Ur-Pogg are tremendously battle-hardened. They just don't know anything else outside of war and conflict. So we get to meet all the sword bearers that are going to participate in Saturnine competition. So we already have met Apocalypse's grandson. Then we discover that Apocalypse's wife is going to be another one that's going to participate in the competition. Her name is Genesis. Also, we have the Horsemen of Death. But then we discover more characters that we have not seen previously, like the character of Redroot. Then we get the really awesome looking Ur-Pogg, Bay the Blood Moon. Then we get to meet White Sword, and he's like the leader of a splinter faction of the Rockin' Mutants who's sort of gone off to do his own thing. Then we have Iska the Unbeaten, who out of all these new characters, I find her to be fascinating. And the last of the sword bearers from Ur-Pogg is Solem, who we already met in the pages of the Wolverine and X-Force series. So now we have both sides with all their participants. They're teleported to Otherworld. When the 616 mutants arrive, they're received by Saturnine. She gives each participant a series of tarot cards. There they get a sort of glimpse of what's going to happen to them in the future. And it's pretty interesting to see the reaction of each character once they receive these cards. Some of them take it pretty well, others don't understand. And then we have some characters like Apocalypse totally flipping out, to the point that Insabanor goes straight to Saturnine and asks her, why the hell did you give me that tarot card? And we get this pretty interesting conversation between both of these characters where, first and foremost, Saturnine tells Apocalypse, stop messing around with magic. It's not your thing. You're like way in over your head with these things. And she tells Insabanor, look, basically put up or shut up. And then she tells him, look, I have another audience. And we discover that the person that she's going to talk to after Apocalypse is Genesis. And we can see Apocalypse visibly very moved, seeing his wife again for the first time. He wants to be back with her, but he discovers that she has been corrupted by the Mask of Annihilation. She is also the bearer of the Twilight Sword, the one responsible for destroying Okara. Because originally Krakoa and Ur-Pogg were both one island. And basically this sword cut both islands in half and opened the door to the invasion of the demons of Amenth. And we get a retelling of what happened to Apocalypse and his lost tribe. That they were able to stop this demon horde, but the mutants of Ur-Pogg went into this portal to see if they could stop this invasion from its point of origin. And basically they were trapped on the other side. Apocalypse was made to stay behind. And from that day on, Apocalypse lost his wife and his 4 children. And Genesis explains that for all the millennia that they were trapped in Amenth, things were very, very hard, but they were able to hold up their own till a moment where Iska the Unbeaten changes sides. And that's basically her power. Like once she goes on your side, you know you're going to win. And Genesis ended up bending the knee to the Mask of Annihilation. She became its new host. She does this to save her people from the demons of Amenth. And from that point on, they have been on a war path that led them to start invading Otherworld. But what's really interesting in this story is to see how Apocalypse and Genesis have grown apart. Even though both characters love each other very, very much, they see the world in very different ways. Genesis sees Apocalypse as being super soft now. One must add that she's being corrupted by the Mask of Annihilation, but all Rocky mutants see the mutants from the 616 universe this way.